Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to a new YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, we are here to continue our AFL 2022 round reviews. Yes, here we are for another round review, AFL 2022 round 22 review. And I'll tell you, in round 22 there were some massive games which are going to shape how the top 8 will play out, the top 4, and will shape up some crucial games in round 23, which we'll get to that towards the end of the videos, what round 23 is going to look like. But of course, round preview will be out a little bit later on, going over round 23 in some more depth. But here we go for the AFL 2022 round 22 review. Alright, so it was a very interesting Friday night battle between St Kilda and Brisbane at Marvel Stadium on a Friday night. And St Kilda 9-12-66, lose to Brisbane 12-9-81. They will now not be able to make finals because of their poor percentage, and they did really hurt themselves in the end because they did have a chance to win this game, which would have made next week versus Sydney a lot, round 23 versus Sydney a lot easier. But no, they'd have to gain 10% out of that game to make finals versus Sydney, which means they'd have to smash them by 100 points or something like that, even more than that. So it's not going to happen. St Kilda are out of the finals race, and it was an interesting game. They did mount a comeback in the third quarter after Brisbane got off to a good fly in the second, but in the end, it did finish as a thriller, but Brisbane scraped past, Brisbane, they were just the much classier of the sides on a Friday night. Their top 4 chances now are hopeful. Alright, so the first game on the Saturday was between Western Bulldogs and GWS at Marvel Stadium. 2 Marvel Stadium games in a row. And it was Western Bulldogs 9-8-62 that triumphed over the Giants 8-9-57 in a game that was full of interesting mistakes and stuff like that, I guess, to say the least. It was a very low-scoring, scrappy kind of contest. And in the end, the Dogs do prevail. The third quarter was definitely the best quarter of this game, though. But yeah, in the first quarter, it was all Dogs. In the second quarter, the Giants mounted their comeback. And then in the third quarter, the Giants kicked the first 2 goals of the quarter. Then the Dogs kicked the next 1, 2, 3, 4 before the Giants kicked the next 1, 2, 3 to lead at 3-quarter time. But the only goal of the last quarter goes to the Dogs, which in the end seals them victory. Their race for finals is still on for the Western Bulldogs. All they have to do is beat Hawthorn and rely that Carlton doesn't beat Collingwood to make the 8. Alright, here we go to the Adelaide Oval now for the second Saturday afternoon game where the Adelaide Crows 15-13, 103, beat North Melbourne 10-14, 74. They ended up winning to Adelaide. They didn't get it done in the most easiest of fashions though, as North Melbourne really did end up testing them, especially in that second quarter. But the Crows, they had a good first quarter, except they were inaccurate. They probably deserved to be up by more at quarter time. And then in the second quarter, it was all North Melbourne. The Crows kicked 3 goals, North kicked 5 goals, but they also kicked 6 behinds in North Melbourne in that quarter. So they really should have been up by more at halftime, should have North. Instead of it being 7-49, instead of it being an 8-point margin, it should have been looking at a 15 to 20 point margin. So the Crows, they were very lucky that it wasn't up to that. And then in the third quarter, it was a very even quarter with the Crows and Roos being on 70 at 3-quarter time each. And in the final quarter, North Melbourne did nothing, and that is what gave the Crows a nice 29-point victory. Alright, here we go to Metcon Stadium, where the Cats have inked in their minor premiership. Gold Coast 9-5-59 was smashed by the Cats 18-11, 119. The Cats, they will be minor premiers this year, and they will have a home final, whether that be the MCG or GMHBA, not sure yet, against the 4th place side, as they have officially finished first. They are 2 games clear at the top of the table, have West Coast to come, so they'll definitely end up finishing 2 games clear of second place and will own themselves a double chance and a home qualifying final. Now, the Suns, they were horrible. They know their season's over, but it was such a poor effort from them in a game that they were a chance to actually maybe compete in. The Cats just absolutely gave them a smashing. The Cats, there was no real standouts for Gold Coast. It was all the Cats showing their class and sending a good run for them into finals. Now, potentially one of the games of the round was right here between Melbourne and Carlton. Melbourne 11-13-79, defeat Carlton 10-14-74. Pickett won the game for Melbourne, but what a contest it was. It was a very interesting Saturday night contest for sure at the MCG. The first quarter, it was a physical sloppy game pretty much. It was a physical, hard working game. Both teams had to work hard to get scores on the board. A combined 7 goals at half time. But yeah, in the end though, in the third quarter, it was Carlton's quarter that they had. They ended up kicking 3 goals in a row. The final quarter was so up and down, it really could have gone anyone's way. But in the end, Melbourne just showed they were the classy of the sides. They got a real big clash up against Brisbane coming up next week to see whether they'll lock in the top 4 spot. And Carlton have a big game coming up against Collingwood to whether they'll make the 8 or not. Because if they lose, you'd be thinking they're out, unless the Dogs lose as well. But look, round 23, there's a lot to come. Now to a wet Western Derby and David Mundy's final game at Optus Stadium between Fremantle and West Coast. And oh boy, it was a wet Western Derby, and Fremantle back to themselves as last year, 9-17-71, beat West Coast 7-5-47. 9-17, it was sloppy wet conditions, no wonder the inaccuracy. Fremantle ended up winning by 24. They send out David Mundy from Optus Stadium in a nice farewell. I believe he'll be playing in round 23 against GWS, but this is the final game that David Mundy will be featuring at Optus Stadium. Perhaps if they make it into the finals, however, that could be a different story again. He might end up... Well, no, because he'll be playing on to the rest of the year. So this is his last derby for sure for David Mundy. But yeah, what an interesting game footy it was. West Coast were in it at half time, but the third quarter... the Dockers just got away. They kicked 8 behinds in that quarter, but that just shows their dominance. And then they did it again in the last. But David Mundy, he goes out as a brilliant player. That's his last Western Derby. But the finals, could he go out winning a premiership for Fremantle? Who knows? But yeah, ripping derby. And in the end, the Dockers get the job done by 24. Now to the first game on Sunday at the MCG between Richmond and Hawthorn. It was Richmond 28-128 that smashed Hawthorn 9-13-67. Richmond win by 61. I will tell you, they were all over the Hawks, and they are going to be a tough side to play in finals. Whoever comes up against them in the elimination final, it'll be a tough side to beat, will Richmond, and they just showed their class. They kicked 9 goals in the third quarter, which really showed that they are going to be a threat come finals time. Lynch got a bag of 8, and their plays are so dangerous. That is insane. 6-goal first quarter. They had 9 goals to half time. They had 18 goals at 3-quarter time. They just absolutely put on a show, did Richmond. Hawthorn, their hopes for being the Western Bulldogs next week are going to be tough after a performance like this. But oh man, Richmond, they put on a show. Alright, now to the SCG for the Sunday Channel 7 game at the SCG between Sydney versus Collingwood. Looked to be a real game that was probably going to decide who will finish in top 4, who will finish in second spot. Because if Collingwood had have won, it looked like they may have inked in that spot perhaps. But yeah, if Sydney had have won, which was the result, then they have a strong chance of finishing second spot. 11-11-77, Sydney beat Collingwood 7-8-50. In the end, Sydney were all over Collingwood. It started really at half time, even though they were up by just under 20 points. But it was just a dominance for Sydney, really. They're up by 15 at half time. But then in the third quarter, that's just where things went bang. And the game was over at 3-quarter time regardless, because Collingwood just had such a low score on the board. It was going to be tough to take it from 40 to 80 in the last quarter, which was very tough in the end, and Collingwood just couldn't do it. And Sydney walk out winners at the SCG and look to ink away a top 2 spot. Well, second spot now. A home qualifying final and a double chance. Alright, now to the final game of round 22, where Essendon 9-8-62 got smashed by Port Adelaide 23-8-146. Port Adelaide win by 84. There's been all turmoil over Essendon, whether Ratton, I think, is it Ratton or is it Rutten? I get them too confused, but whether he will be coaching Essendon or whether it will be Clarko coaching Essendon next year. There's been lots of turmoil over this game. They had a chance to win in this game. They were favourites, and to lose by 84 is such a disappointment for Essendon. Port Adelaide absolutely smashed them, and the game was over at half time. The Bombers kicked 1 behind. Port Adelaide kicked 7 goals 2 in the second quarter. Had 12 goals to half time, did Port. The game was over then. And then in the final quarter, they kicked 9 more goals. It was ridiculous that they absolutely pulled Essendon apart. And Essendon embarrassed themselves in this one. That's a game they'd love to forget. But yeah, how round 23 goes for them and how next year shapes up is going to be an interesting thing. Alright, so Brisbane beat St Kilda by 15 points. The Doggies got over the Giants by 5. The Crows smashed North. Well, the Crows got over North by 29. Geelong smashed Gold Coast by 60. The Demons got over the Blues by 5. The Dockers got over West Coast by 24. The Tigers smashed Hawthorn by 61. The Swans got over the Pies by 27. And Port Adelaide destroyed Essendon by 84. Round 23, quick little look ahead to what that'll look like. So yeah, on the Friday night, it's going to be Brisbane taking on Melbourne at the Gabba. This is probably one of the biggest games of the rounds because it'll probably, the loser won't get a top 4 spot, the winner will. If it's a draw, well, interesting things will happen. Maybe they both miss if it's a draw, who knows. But then on to the Saturday. The Giants take on the Dockers, which is a massive game for the Dockers' top 4 hopes. They have to simply win and have to have a couple of other results go their way as well. Do Fremantle. North play Gold Coast at Marvel. The Cats take on West Coast at Cardinia Park. The Cats have already inked in a minor premiership. Now I think it's just Cameron's chance to win the Coleman right here if he can get a bag. And Kerno doesn't get any or only a few. The Bombers take on the Tigers on Saturday night. This is the Tigers' chance to just take a really good purple patch of form into the finals. They'd love that, to be on a bit of a winning streak. Play Adelaide on Saturday night in the showdown. It's going to still be a great showdown, I reckon. Even though there's not really a lot to play for, but there's still bragging rights up for grabs. So yeah, for sure. Hawthorn play the Western Bulldogs, which starts a Mega Sunday, August 21. Put that one in, Mega Sunday. Put that on your calendar. For footy, Mega Sunday. The Doggies all they have to do is beat Hawthorn to perhaps get a final spot. And then Carlton, they've just got to beat Collingwood to ink in their final spot. Collingwood have to beat Carlton to get into the top 4. And then St Kilda play Sydney in the final game of round 23. The ladder now, how things are going so far. The Cats, again, as I said, 2 games clear on top of the table. Now the Swans, they are just up on percentage. They still have to get a good enough, healthy enough win against the Saints if the Demons happen to beat the Lions. Otherwise, if the Lions beat the Demons, then the Swans should be good on percentage, but they still have to win. To Sydney. That Brisbane-Melbourne game is going to be absolutely crucial to how the top 4 ends up playing out. Now, Collingwood, they have to beat Carlton if they want to make top 4 because of their percentage. Fremantle, they're in 6th. They have to make sure other results go their way. For example, Collingwood not beating Carlton, and then one of Brisbane or Melbourne losing for them to go up into the top 4. So it is still possible for Fremantle. They're still in the race for the top 4. Richmond, they need to win to absolutely ensure they'll finish in 7th place. And then Carlton, if Richmond win, it's 8th or 9th, depending on the Dogs result. And St Kilda are out of finals because of their 100%. That's their percentage. So now Port Adelaide and Gold Coast sitting 11th and 12th. Gold Coast percentages dip below 100 now. And then that's the rest of the ladder. There's still spots to be played out for sure. Like Hawthorn and Adelaide. And even Essendon, if they can snare a win, they can try and attack a spot. But I think we have the bottom 4 all set out. I think the lower part of the ladder is already set out. But it is just this top 9 that it is all waiting on to see how they will go next week. So now I'm just going to have a little look at the Coleman medal as well. So as I just noted before, Carlton will be playing Collingwood, so Kerno has to be stopped, and Cameron will have to get a big bag against the Eagles, which is more than capable of happening for him to overtake Kerno. Hawkins, he's still an outside chance to win, as to his Lynch, but again, they've got to get 10 goals or something in a game. So it's going to be tough. Hawkins, Lynch are outside chances. But yeah, I think it comes down to Kerno and Cameron that are the 2 players that will have the chance to win it. I think if all Kerno would have to do would get 3 to be safe from Cameron. But who knows? It's going to be interesting to see how big these bags can go. Because the Coleman, it'll be Kerno or Cameron to win it, I reckon. Alright, well, what a massive round 22 it was. Round 23 preview will be out very soon. That's going to be a massive preview right there. But thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell So then you guys will never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. So bye everyone, Flaming Footy out.